I've been using AI for my reselling business since October. I love tools, efficiency, optimization. If there's a way to get it done faster, then I want to learn it. But for the last couple of months, something's really been bothering me, and my sales have been down. I don't think it's because AI is bad, but I do think it's because I'm starting to trust it more than myself. The biggest problem with AI hasn't been the bad advice. It is that it is slowly starting to change the way that we think. And even scarier, you hardly even notice that it's happening. Now, we've seen this before. Social media didn't just connect us, it rewired us. And AI, in my opinion, is doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that it feels productive while it's doing it. If you're new here, my name is Heather, and I have been using AI, specifically ChatGPT, since October. And I've been documenting some of my findings here with you on YouTube in a series I like to call Thinking with AI. So if you're new here and you haven't seen any of the other videos, I will go ahead and link that playlist above and below for you. Now, reselling is pretty simple. Reselling is basically margin plus speed. The faster you can list, the faster you can sell, the faster you can bring in money so that you can reinvest in your business. Now, AI is creating more input. And for me, that's more analysis, more refinement, more, let me just double check this with AI. And in theory, that sounds responsible, but in practice, it is really starting to slow me down. So I figured we'd sit down here and have a little discussion about this. And I do have my iPad down here because I took some notes so that I don't forget to tell you guys anything. And a great starting point, I feel like, will be with these Obermeyer vintage ski pants. Now, I pulled these from the bins, and I know you guys saw that haul, and I believe it was this past fall. And on that bins day, this haul, every item cost me $1.33. And when I saw these in the bins and saw that they were wool and knew that they were ski, perfect for fourth quarter, I figured I could probably sell these for anywhere between $39 and $49. So as I tend to do with items that are vintage, where I don't know specifically what decade they were made, I took pictures of the item and the tag and threw that into chat to get a decade so that I could create my listing. Now, because I use chat not only for helping me identify vintage, but also to do delete, relist refreshes, it took it upon itself to go ahead and not only throw out the decade that it thought it was manufactured, but also a price and some eBay, Poshmark titles and descriptions. Now, it threw out a price of $58. And as a reseller, and it gave some reasons for why it thought it was worth $58. And when I looked through those reasonings, it made sense. And then also as a reseller, if I could get an extra $10 to $20 for them, of course, I want to do that. So I went ahead and listed them as chat suggested for $58, and they sat. Instead of adjusting the price back to what I was originally thinking in my head when I was in the bins, I instead decided to optimize. So I went back to chat, treated it as an old stale listing, refreshed my titles, my descriptions on Etsy, some keywords, and I deleted it and relisted it. And it sat. Third time it came up in my items to review, I said, screw chat. You haven't helped me any. I'm just going to go ahead and lower the price. And because I originally thought it should be between $39 and $49, I dropped the price to $45, and it sold within a week. If I would have trusted my gut, it would be very likely that those pants would have sold in a week. I would have had that money back in my bank account, and I could have then taken that money and reinvested it in my business. Instead, I spent more time with the item. I spent more time optimizing, tweaking, and adjusting because something happened in my brain when AI put that $58 in there. Like, I stopped having all my 6 years of reselling expertise just go out the window, because as soon as AI gave me that number, it anchored me to that number. So if this story sounds familiar to you, go ahead and consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Or is it just me? Is it my natural neurotic tendency to overthink? Just me? Please be at least one in the comment section below so I don't feel alone. I hope there are some more overanalyzers in the comment section, because this is another problem that I'm having with AI. So I've done several videos on my listing technique, and currently I'm using List Perfectly, and it takes me anywhere usually between 4 to 5 minutes to list an item. And again, we know with reselling, speed counts, and I'm a part-time reseller. So the less time and effort I can put into something, the more money I make. So that 4 to 5 minutes to put things into List Perfectly and shoot them out to their platforms is like the perfect timing for me. But again, since using AI, and it wasn't that this happened in October, it slowly started to creep in. I've noticed that it's taking me much longer to list items. And it is because I am questioning everything. From having these chats with chat, I now think, is my title optimized to the greatest degree? Maybe I should just check with chat. Is that price right? Let me just check with chat. It feels productive, but speed is profit in reselling. And if you're prone to overthinking, who me? Then AI will amplify it. And let me give you some patterns that I am noticing. And it's just slowly started to creep in. But I made a list for you guys, because if you haven't started noticing it yet, I hope that this triggers you to notice it. First of all, as we talked about, overpricing. Of course, if you overprice things, then sales are going to slow down. I've noticed that instead of checking eBay comps, which is what I normally do to determine my price, I would check AI. And then, is AI actually right? Because it screwed me over a few times. So maybe I'll just go ahead and check eBay comps too. So now I'm doing double the work. Overanalyzing equals slower listings. I just talked to you about that and why that's the case. More title tweaks. Every time something doesn't sell within a certain period, now I'm changing the title, changing the description, adjusting things. I used to wait and do that if it hadn't sold for 6 months. Now I'm like, well, it's been 2 months. Maybe if I just tweak some things, I could get it sold. So the next 3 are specifically things that I've noticed since the implementation of Chat 4.0 and on. And the first one is wasting time educating Chat to get quality prompts. So every time an update occurs, Chat goes haywire, forgets all the rules, forgets all my things that I put in the background, forgets the prompts, and I need to re-educate it, which is another time suck. The wordier outputs. Sure, it sounds polished and it sounds great that it's giving me reasons as to why, but they are so wordy and so repetitive, and the outputs are longer and longer. I literally tell Chat before every prompt, blunt, concise, to the point. The next prompt will be blunt, concise, and to the point. And the next prompt after it will be wordy, 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 wordy. And the last thing is really just the nail in the coffin for me. And it's so much a thing within Chat specifically that Chat won't even have a conversation with me about it. It's almost like it wants to pretend it doesn't exist. And that is, you give it a prompt, it tells you an answer, and then it asks you a question. And a lot of times I'll give it a prompt, I'll get that answer, and I'll go, oh great, I have an answer. And then I read that question, and instead of closing it out and going and doing what the answer is, let's say I asked it and it gave me a price. Instead of just taking that price and going into List Perfectly and plugging it in, maybe it says, do you want me to make you titles and descriptions now? Well, you might as well. I'm about to go put them in. When I began using chat, my biggest concern was it was going to give me wrong information. So it does give me wrong pricing. It does sometimes tell me something is of a decade that I know it's not. Its outputs being wrong is annoying, but it's manageable. But what I didn't expect was to get sucked in to it doing all of my primary thinking. My MO, my entire reselling career has been trust my gut. I'm very gut instinctual, intuition driven, and then find data that supports the gut. Now it tends to be my gut is telling me this. Let's see if AI agrees. So here's the part I want to read to you word for word so that I don't get it wrong, because this is what all the AI naysayers are feeling and why they're naysaying. And I'm right there with you. I completely get it. And that is that when you outsource your thinking, your brain adapts. If your brain conserves energy and AI delivers structure, and structure to your brain feels competent. So when a sale happens after you outsource energy and have had structure, your brain finds that and rewards it, and now you're in a reward loop. More input does not always equal better outcomes, and instead, it's productivity theater that feels like progress. And this is so true. You rewire your brain because when it works, your brain goes, it worked, keep doing it. All that to say, I'm not anti-AI. Again, I'm equating it to social media. I'm not against social media. I understand the loopholes and the faults within it. And so I'm conscious about that and the time that I spend on it. I now can sense when I'm on social media, ooh, that triggered me. Oh, it's probably meant to, and it's probably time to log off. I'm at that point now, which is insane to say because it's only been since October. I'm at that point now with AI. And I've said this throughout my entire series, and I feel that it's needed to remind not only you, but to remind myself. AI is a coworker. If I have a question, I ask. If I need to brainstorm, I'll reach out and ask. But I'm not going to outsource basic decisions just because it feels productive. When you start outsourcing AI for basic information, or when you're asking it a question and it follows up by asking you more questions, so you get pulled in to this analysis loop, that is your sign that AI is changing your behavior. Reselling rewards speed and trained instinct, and I myself refuse to optimize myself out of my edge. Have you found that AI is speeding you up or slowing you down? You guys know I love to hear from you. I know that a lot of people have opinions on AI, and I really, really love to discuss them. So leave your comment in the comment section below so that we can chat about it. As always, you know I love to have you guys here, and thank you so much for tuning in and for the continued support. It really does mean the world to me. Now, like I said, I have a whole series on AI, so if you want to jump into that Thinking with AI playlist, I'll pop a few videos up here to get you on your way. In the meantime, as I always say, here at Sequels, the remake, it can outshine the original. Have a fabulous week, guys, and I'll see you next time with some more reselling content. Bye, friends.